Jose Mourinho and Paul Pogba, two of the biggest names in world football and two experts in their field. But after tensions have risen in recent months, many doubters are wondering whether they can actually work together. So if one of them should leave, who's it going to be? Well, if modern football has taught us anything, it's that money talks. And with the prospect of bringing around £100 million in, Paul Pogba looks like the one who will probably go. And if he does, who will be stepping up to replace the enigmatic Frenchman? Well, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to bring you 6 players who could replace Manchester United's number 6. First off, let's look at what Paul Pogba brings to the team. Aside from his undoubted talent and odd trick up his sleeve, his role is to create and dominate in the middle of the park. Whether it's from deeper in an attacking position, he's expected to come up with something, to pull the rabbit out the hat, or to turn a game on its head with a stroke of genius. While some of the players on this list may dictate the tempo from deep with their fantastic passing, some may be the box-to-box energizer bunnies that just do not stop running, and some may have an eye for the spectacular. Regardless of what they do, one thing is expected of them: that when they step onto the hallowed turf at Old Trafford, they need to bring their A game, be the focal point of the team, and give 110% for the badge. So with that rather daunting gauntlet set out, let's bring on the contestants. Up first is a player whose likeness to Paul Pogba starts as soon as you set your eyes on him. At 6'4" and with the physical prowess of a rugby player, Milinkovic-Savic has more than enough physical quality to dominate in the centre of the park. But does he have the ball skills to back it up? Absolutely. His vision, passing technique and exceptional footwork means he's pretty comfortable with the ball wherever he is on the pitch. And his performances for Lazio and Serie A over the last 2 seasons have seen him linked with huge money moves to Real Madrid and Manchester United. However, one question does remain: is he really worth the reported £100 million that some clubs apparently are going to have to stump up to pay for him? Well, that's the price that has been reported, and should they get rid of Paul Pogba, it's more than likely they'll be spending all of their transfer funds, if not more, on bringing in Milinkovic-Savic. So, is he going to be the real deal when he comes in? Now, he is a few years younger than Paul Pogba and definitely has potential to grow into the role. But when you're paying such ridiculous money for a player, the fans, the clubs, the manager, everyone around the team will be expecting results pretty instantly, so it may be a bit of a risky purchase, especially for someone who's never played in England before. Having said that though, with the kind of sweet dollar that United have been throwing around recently, it won't be surprising if they bring him in and on a huge contract to boot. So if they don't fancy taking a risk on someone unproven, how about bringing someone in who has won it all? With the midfield capabilities that anyone in the world would die for, Toni Kroos has more than enough skill to dominate in the middle of the park. For those of you who have seen Toni Kroos play, you'll know that when I say dominate, I don't mean physically, because that's not his kind of game. But he's more like the Manchester United legend Paul Scholes, in the fact he can take a step back from the action, analyse the situation, and when he gets the ball, play the right pass 99% of the time. This could be the key to unlocking Manchester United's exciting front line too, as this season many pundits have called their style of play boring, slow and too predictable. With Kroos' passing ability, he can unleash the right pass at the right time with the right accuracy to allow the speed and skill of Lingard, Rashford, Lukaku, Martial and maybe even Alexis Sanchez. They'll all be able to do the business up top, while the likes of Fred and Matic alongside Toni Kroos can sweep up at the back. And finally, with a pretty decent long-range strike with both feet, maybe Kroos is the answer after all. And whilst he's turning 30 in January, he's not necessarily old, but he's old enough that he won't command a bank-busting transfer fee, meaning that Man United won't have to balance the books after bringing him in. For our next player, Manchester United could be staying in the Premier League, and unusually with a player who has just been promoted from the Championship. Last season, Wolves showed the whole league that loads of their players were far too good for the division, and even this season most of them have taken to it like a duck to water. One of those especially is Ruben Neves. To be honest, Neves' ability comes as no surprise to many people. He was brought in from Portuguese giants Porto, where he played over 50 games, including captaining the side in the Champions League, becoming the youngest ever player to do so. So can he make the step up again and deal with the demands of playing for one of the league, if not the world's biggest clubs? Potentially. His style of play is actually more akin to Toni Kroos than Paul Pogba, where he prefers to sit back and not so much get involved in the physical tussles, but use his excellent vision, ball control and passing skills to dictate the play. At only 21 years old, Neves has loads of time to grow into the role, but is already accustomed to English football. However, in my opinion, a January switch and maybe even next summer moving as well may be a little too soon for him. This is because at Wolves he gets to play alongside the ideal role model in Jose Mourinho. Neves is literally Jose Mourinho but 10 years younger. They have a very similar game, play alongside each other for club and country, and the opportunities for Neves to learn off Mourinho will be thick and fast in training and in games. United should definitely keep tabs on this player, but should they move for him, they should be prepared to offer a starting role, as Neves seems unlikely to want to halt his development by playing a bit part role on the bench. So at the halfway point and discussing who's going to replace Paul Pogba, I think it's only fair we have a quick look at where he may go. So I'm going to leave a poll right up here where you can decide where he's going to end up. I've taken all of 2 minutes and 14 seconds to put together 3 teams that I think could afford him and that he'd want to go to. Those are Barcelona, PSG and Juventus. So let me know in the poll where you think he'll end up. But back to the potential replacements and straight over to La Liga, where we have a player who's appeared 370 times for Atletico Madrid at just age 26. He's also played in 2 World Cups for Spain and is the natural successor to Xavi, and that's come straight from Xavi's mouth. It's Koke. If there was ever a player who summed up Diego Simeone's playing and coaching style, it would be Koke. This is probably why he's been in the first 11 so consistently and played such a huge role in Atleti's La Liga title win back in 2014. As is the case with most Spanish players, he has fantastic technical ability and can have a great eye for a pass and even the odd spectacular goal. His both-footedness means that he is incredibly versatile, and wherever he ends up on the pitch, he'll pretty much do you a solid job, an 8 or 9 out of 10 every time. For someone in his prime though, he may cost a lot of money, and such is the relationship that Atletico Madrid build with their players, someone so fiercely loyal to the badge is unlikely to leave for pastures new so easily. We saw this over the summer with Antoine Griezmann, who rejected the chance to move to Barcelona in favour of staying with Madrid and winning more titles. But as we've said before, money talks, so this one could happen. Next up is someone who physically possesses the same traits as Milinkovic-Savic, has been compared to United legend Paul Scholes and German legend Michael Ballack, and by one of his coaches at former club Bochum, he was called the talent of the century. That's a pretty big billing for someone who at the time was 18 years old. But now 5 years later, at the age of 23 and after some successful years with Schalke, Leon Goretzka got his move to Bayern Munich, where he could become one of the best central midfielders in the world if he can play regularly enough. Now I know Goretzka started the season well for Bayern Munich, but he's always going to face big competition. Thiago is a fantastic midfielder, Corentin Tolisso is pretty good, although he's injured at the moment, James Rodriguez seems to be dropping deep, and in a newly reformed Renato Sanchez, he's definitely going to have a difficult time holding a place down. Now of course this goes for any top club in the world where the abundance of talent is real. However, should Goretzka move to Manchester United, I think he's got more than enough to demand a first team place. Let's look at it this way. Nemanja Matic is a decent player, although how many years at the top level he's got left I don't quite know. Fred is definitely a fantastic signing and could slot in alongside Goretzka, and while Scott McTominay is a good one for the future, I don't see him able to keep out the German international from a starting spot. As for Marouane Fellaini, well, he'll always be the plan B off the bench and never really the plan A. That's just ugly football at its finest. There is of course also Ander Herrera, who is a fine passing midfielder himself. However, his ability to dictate the play and be that physical dominance as well they need in the centre of the park isn't really shown in the Spaniard's slight frame. So I think that Leon Goretzka could do a fantastic job should he come into United. And with Bayern Munich able to basically pick off the best talents in the rest of the Bundesliga, because everyone wants to play for them, they shouldn't have too much trouble finding a replacement, meaning that for the right money, again, Goretzka could go. And finally we come to the last player on this list, the 6th player who could potentially replace an outward-bound Paul Pogba. And although his style differs from the rest, having a player of his quality in your team is always going to be a massive plus. And another added bonus is that he's going to be on a free transfer next summer should he not sign a contract extension at PSG. Sitting in a slightly deeper role, Adrien Rabiot is not going to directly replace Paul Pogba. However, his fantastic defensive work and his ability to carry the ball forwards means that the attackers could flourish. I'm not saying Mourinho will change his style for just one guy, but when you've got a player with those kind of strengths in the team, it's kind of hard not to play to them. As with Toni Kroos, I see him slotting in a 2-man midfield alongside Fred. Take out Matic, Herrera and McTominay on the bench and Fellaini somewhere else. This means that any of the fantastic attacking talents that I've mentioned before can go forward without having to worry about too much defensive frailty. There'll be 4 of them. There'll be a left winger, a right winger, a number 10 and a forward who can all bang in the goals for United, knowing that the likes of Fred and Rabiot are behind them. Oh, and if they wanted someone experienced, despite the fact he's only 23 years old, in his 6 years of professional football, he's amassed 16 trophies. Now, of course, this is playing with PSG in the French league, no disrespect, but it still takes a pretty good player to be involved in a squad where you can pretty much sign anyone in the world. So to hold down a place is kudos to him. As for PSG, well, they probably need him more than they think. The financial fair play ruling means that they may not be able to sign players in the upcoming transfer window, and whilst they don't have any other midfield options, he's become a vital cog in their team. Should he decide to not want to get whatever he wants out of a contract and move abroad, Manchester United will definitely be potential suitors. So there you have it, 6 potential players who could come in and replace the outgoing Paul Pogba should he leave Manchester United. With the amount of money being offered on the table for him, it seems that United, as well as their own bank, could finance a move for everybody. So, if you were the manager at Manchester United, who would you bring in? Would it be Milinkovic-Savic, Neves, Kroos, Goretzka, Koke, or Adrien Rabiot? Let me know in the comment section below. Whilst you're down there, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.